International Raceway gained fame hosting the stars of NASCAR and open-wheel racing. But today, make that tonight, PIR plays host to the exotic sports cars of the Grand American Road Racing Series. Round 2 of North America's newest sports car championship is next on Speed Vision. At the foot of the Estrella Mountains in the Valley of the Sun, Phoenix International Raceway plays host to the Sun Automotive 200, Round 2 of the Grand American Road Racing Series. Hello everyone, I'm Bob Varsha along with David Hobbs, Sandy Hang, and our old Formula One colleague John Bizignano for what should be an exciting race. David?
Well, night racing always presents very special challenges, especially on a track like this where it's difficult to find your way around the infield, which is very flat and featureless in the dark.
It's been an interesting weekend thus far. Here's John with more.
Thank you very much, Bob and David. It is great being back with you. Let's take some of that experience and bring it to Grand American Road Racing. The Dyson team scoring their second pole position in 2 races. At Daytona, they were on pole, and 24 hours later, they had won their class. James Weaver, coming into this event, James, you have to be very confident in your team and in your equipment. It's only taking normal maintenance to be the fastest car around Phoenix.
Yeah, when you runs a fantastic team, it's always a pleasure to drive for him, and he puts such a good car on the track, you can't help but be confident.
I'll tell you, he's going to get faster throughout the race, but there are some of the fastest cars at this circuit are not anywhere near the front of the grid. And with that story is my pit partner, Sandy Hang.
This could be a cat and mouse chase through the pack because there are 4 fast cars in the back. Victim of circumstances, Jack Baldwin on the outside pole. He was taking some hardship laps this morning. They blew an engine on the 3rd lap. Also another story with the Ricci Ferrari. They had an irregular airbox. They were sent to the back of the pack. Look for them trying to get to the front.
Thank you, Sandy. They are not the only ones back there as well, as you mentioned. Now, here is the Robinson Racing car during earlier practice. This car is on a new engine, a new transmission, and a new driver. Irv Hare was called in when car owner George Robinson, who had hoped to drive, took ill yesterday. Here's another good story. The Comer Racing Camaro. Andy McNeil crashed this car during final practice on Friday night. Here he is getting out of the car. The crew worked all night long to get it ready. They have asked to be put at the back of the field because they did not get a chance to test the fixes.
But meanwhile, the Dyson car with James Weaver and Andy Wallace at the wheel, you can see there how difficult it is at night. The track's shining away. Of course, they do have some help here with outside lighting as well as their own headlights. It does make life a bit difficult.
Oh, I love it. I mean, anybody watching a night race can relate to that, because if you're driving late at night, you know, the solitude that you get is, you just get a tremendous feeling of being at ease with yourself and at peace with the world, just driving on the road. And so when you're racing at night, it's 100 times better than night racing. It's fabulous fun.
Well, night racing's tough, and it's not going to be easy here. But, you know, the good thing is people do see you coming up because they see your headlights. But it's not my favorite. I'd rather be out where you can see it. And I think as myself being a fan of racing, I like to be able to see everything all over the track, and it gets a little harder to see. But it's always exciting because you get to see the flames out the exhaust, the glowing brakes, and everything else that happens. And I think everybody's got to go see them at least once to see stuff run at night to see what it's like.
Well, as you've heard, opinions are mixed. It can be fun, but it can also be confusing. And with 5 classes of cars on track, including the brand new Sports Racer 2 division, with different closing speeds among the various cars according to their power, there's going to be a lot of that headlight glare in the mirrors of the slower cars. The field is out warming up. We'll be back with the starting grid and the green flag. Stay with us. Grand American Sports Car Racing from Phoenix, Arizona is being brought to you by BMW, the ultimate driving machine. Welcome back. Bob Varsha, David Hobbs, John Bizignano, and Sandy Hang with you for the Sun Automotive 200, Round 2 of the new Grand American Road Racing Association Series. This is its debut, year 2000. There's our pole sitter, James Weaver, leading the field around. 1.51 miles around, 11 turn combined oval and road course. There's the number 84 Comer Camaro. Andy McNeil back behind the wheel, and look at the fix job on that car. They had basically taken every body panel off of it. It looks brand new.
They've certainly done a beautiful job in setting that car up in just 24 short hours. There's Nino Schiacchiera right at the back as well in the number 12.
Now, as you take a look at the starting grid, we'll get to the drivers as time goes by, but look at that right-hand column. Mechanical diversity is one of the strengths of the Grand American Series. You have Ford-powered Riley and Scott chassis. There are Porsches, Ferraris, Chevys. Incredible variety of machinery. And as we mentioned, with 5 classes racing, closing speeds will determine the ebb and flow of the race. It's all about traffic here at Phoenix.
Night particularly difficult. There you see the track. Turn 1, very fast entry there. Turn 2, tightening up and slowing down as you go through it. 3 and 4, tight, flat. 5, 6, 7, 8. That 8, that 7 is very important to get it right. Good chance of overtaking going into 9 before you get back on the banking. 10 and 11. The bank is 11 degrees, so these cars have got some real heat in those outside tires.
Now we'll go on board the number 81 Pure Image Porsche 911 GT3R.
That's right in turns 2, 3, and 4 coming up here. You can see it's pretty flat. They've got some line help a little bit, but it's difficult to find these corners at night. This is down to that 5, 6, and 7 complex. Now 6, she's going to be going around here, and 7 really is a long double apex corner. It's very important right about here to get that power on so you can swing through 8 and get a good run on somebody to come down here to 9. This is a real good opportunity here to overtake somebody in our race.
And as you can hear from all the shifting Darren Law was doing, this track is very hard on transmissions. Up on the NASCAR oval once again, turns 3 and 4 the oval, 10 and 11 of the combined oval and road course. Originally built as a road course was Phoenix International Raceway. The oval was added as a bit of an afterthought. Ironic that the oval track racing should be PIR's claim to fame. The stage is set. The pace car is off. James Weaver at the controls of Rob Dyson's Riley and Scott. A big booming 5 and a fraction liter Ford V8 behind his head leads them down, and he gets a great jump at the start. But look at this man, Mimo Schiattarella of Italy, posted the fastest qualifying time, bumped to the back as Sandy Heng mentioned earlier. He is making time passing cars left and right. Back to the leader.
James Weaver said he liked driving at night. His answer is a bit cerebral for me, but he's certainly doing the thing at the moment, pulling away as they go through the infield. Sparks flying as the bodywork drags on the ground there. He put the brakes on, he put the high-tech model suspension in his car. Still dive bit at the front, so we're going to see a lot of sparks, and hopefully we're going to see a lot of brakes glowing in the dark here. Boy, oh boy, those brakes do look fantastic at night when they line up. Here he's into that turn 9, coming up on the back straight for the first time.
We've got a problem. Looks like an off and on, or at least the right side wheels went off on the number 55 GTU BMW M3. Scott Newman sharing that car with Andy Pilgrim.
Andy Pilgrim, a good supporter of this type of race as we watch James Weaver cross the line for the first time going into that turn 1. It's a very fast entry to turn 1 because you come off the bank down to the flat. So to set the cars up. Look at Schiattarella here, rushing through the field, carving up somebody there beautifully. It's a lovely line.
Now he's in the midst of the Sports Racer 2 category cars. There are 3 of them as the class makes its debut here. They look just like the open cockpit Sports Racer 1s, if you will. The fastest cars in the class, but Sports Racer 2 is a new class for a lightweight car using a smaller engine, 3 liters of displacement maximum, 6 cylinders maximum, and no turbocharging allowed.
This one, of course, is definitely not a 6-cylinder. The number 12 car there as it rushes through the field. Here you see it again, going across the line here. Carves its way through the slower GTU and GTO cars. Coming through that first turn 2 and 3 complex, a little bit difficult, or even that much more horsepower and handling to get around these cars. Tremendous traffic block here. Look at all those lights, of course, glaring in everybody's mirrors. Everybody's looking around themselves, not really expecting him to be up that fast so soon in the race. Any little bit of straight stretch, boom, straight by with the superior horsepower of the Ferrari now coming into that 6 and 7 complex. Pick up about 3 or 4, I think, before we get down to turn 9.
See the car squirming a little bit as he jumps on the throttle. Schiattarella, a veteran of open-wheeled racing here in the United States and Formula One abroad, really wringing the neck of that Ferrari to get back to the front. Started 21st. We go on board now with Darren Law in the Porsche to show Schiattarella slicing through. That's one of the American GT class Camaros up ahead. Schiattarella is flying.
Looks like he was going to go high, went low. Wow. See how close he was to that left front fender on that 22 car.
V12 Ferrari at the back of this 333 SP, introduced about 7 seasons ago. Certainly veteran technology now. Great way to start the race. Schiaparelli continues to charge, currently 5th, right back to Phoenix. Welcome back to Phoenix, where James Weaver of England, nearly 2 decades now, driving for car owner Rob Dyson, who was actually on the driver's strength in the sister car to this, the number 20 Riley and Scott Ford, further back in the field. Battle for 3rd as Milo Schiaparelli of Italy, who started 21st in that Ferrari. Car set fast qualifying time, but was bumped to the back for a technical infringement, and this Italian has been absolutely carving through the field, David Hobbs.
Absolutely carving through the field. I mean, at night, it's made lap much more difficult to be going offline. Not many marbles around there, but this track has always got a lot of sand on it. There's it going past the Ferrari with the Judd engine there, Freddie Leinhardt.
Doran brought a Judd V10 Formula One derived power plant, put it in that Ferrari chassis. He calls it a Doran Special on the driver strength of that car. Local Phoenix resident Didier Taves. Here's a look at our field summary. James Weaver up front. We've talked about all these different cars and classes. Here's John and Sandy with more.
This is the beautiful Ferrari 333 SP owned by Competizione Racing, the Ferrari dealer out of Houston, Texas. This is the sport racer class, purebred racing cars, virtually a Formula One car with fenders. Now, Grand Am Racing allows here 4-liter racing engines or American V8s up to 6 liters. Right next door is the Sport Racing 2 class. Here's the Mazda-powered car. They also allow V6s up to 3 liters. About 1,600 pounds here, about 2,000 pounds over there. Now, around this Phoenix track, there's about 4 seconds difference between the 2 different categories, but they both provide great racing. Now, Sandy Hang is with some a little bit more familiar-looking production race cars.
This Porsche 911 is part of the Grand Touring class. The first, the GTO. You'll see Porsches, Vipers, Corvettes. The GTO has a beefier engine like this twin turbo, and they are heavier, 2,300 to 2,600 pounds. This sweet BMW M3 is part of the GTU class. Now they're lighter in weight, 1,800 to 2,300 pounds, and they have smaller engines, a maximum of 4 liters displacement. And turbocharging in this class is a no-no. You'll also see some Porsches that are part of the GTU class. Now let's pass it back to Biz with the final category.
The 5th category in Grand American Road Racing is AGT, and the A stands for America. These are the Detroit muscle cars, Camaros, Mustangs. These cars are tubular frame chassis, pure racing cars, a lot of aerodynamic studies into the body, a lot of race suspension and brakes, 100% racing machines. The engines are from 310 to 375 cubic inches, about 600 horsepower on top of 2,500 pounds. Now, why is Grand American Road Racing going with 5 different categories? For one reason, diversity. They want to bring you great racing through 5 different categories all the way through the field.
All right, thank you, John and Sandy. And here comes a classic example of the new Sports Racer 2 or SR Lights class. This is Martin Snow in his V6 Nissan Lola. The idea behind the Sports Racer class fits in with the cost containment philosophy of the new Grand American Road Racing Series. You can get a car like this with engine for a little over $210,000. It's a turnkey operation. Buy it, hop in, go racing.
Well, the money's coming in Grand American Racing, and when it gets up there, this will be very cost-effective racing.
We have a yellow flag, and that will waste the big lead that our pole sitter James Weaver built up over the 2nd place car of John Field. As for a spinner, there is Paul Jenkins, the Orion Motorsports Ford Mustang, as you see the safety car, the Chevy Corvette, about to take to the track. Looks like he has spun it and lost the fire. Meanwhile,
there is the 2nd place car of John Field in the pit, so taking advantage of. And there's the number 12 car. Obviously had him make the stop too. Schiaparelli there, both taking another stop.
Well, this is an interesting strategic move because of the distance of this race and the fact that a driver, in order to score points in the championship, must drive the car 40% of the race. The distance would call for a 2-stop strategy, but if they come in now, they can go to half distance, then make the driver change. Otherwise, it's going to be tough to get a guy in there for 40% of the time.
You're going to end up with a 3-stop race. There's a 27 car, the Doran Special. That's a Ferrari chassis with the Judd engine. Freddie Leinhardt at the wheel now. Going He's joined by Tate, very experienced, very fast in this type of car, and lives right here in Scottsdale.
Belgian, a vastly experienced sports car racer. Meanwhile, back up front, James Weaver has not chosen to make the stop.
He definitely does not live in Scottsdale. He lives in Wiltshire, England. There's the 27 car going out to rejoin the fray.
Doran Special with that Judd V10, an engine that came into being designed for 190-mile Grand Prix Formula One races. Now, in the Grand American Road Racing Series, it has to go as far as 24 hours. We'll be back. Welcome back to Phoenix and the Sun Automotive 200, presented by AsCentral.com and Cars.com. Bob Barsha along with David Hobbs. 1 lap to go. This, the first yellow flag brought out by a spin by Paul Jenkins in his Ford Mustang. He was able to get the car refired, get back around. So after a very brief yellow flag, we will be back to racing momentarily. And there is the race leader, James Weaver.
He did not stop. Pace car pulls off, trying to put a little bit of heat in the tires here as he comes off. At turn 11, turn 4, and NASCAR land down that long front straightaway there. Dark, license rowdy behind, what a jostling position going into that tight turn 1. Very fast approach. Schiaparella, who just had a stop, he was running second, but obviously lost that second position by making that stop. So now he's going to work the field. Nice making work.
He must be thinking about traffic. Probably he's not a problem. He has been absolutely knifing through it in his rush to the front. And there's the man who was at the front, James Weaver. Currently in second place is another car we should talk about. The number 74, Wiley and Scott Judd, being driven by Jack Baldwin. Qualified the car second quick. But then when his car owner, George Robinson, took ill, they called in Irv Hare, who drove with them at the 24 Hours of Daytona, round 1 of the Grand American Series this year. Hare got a few mercy laps this morning to get used to the racetrack and the car. The engine broke, a Conrod failure, we are told. They had to replace the engine. Started at the back, and they've worked their way all the way up. There is Jack Baldwin.
And they are now in second spot, so they've had a very, very exciting weekend, to say the least. And Irv Hare, I mean, he only came in this morning, just as you said, in a few hardship laps. Boy, here they are in second spot. There's a big weight on Irv's shoulders when he's going to get in that car, now running in second spot. Jack Baldwin, of course, and I drove in GTP, the forerunner of this type of racing, back in 1989.
Jack Baldwin has a great history here at Phoenix. I believe he's won in both the GTU and GTO categories, the production-based cars. Here he finds himself at the top of the line sports racer. Boy, credit the crew of this 76 Racing, Robinson Racing crew. 2 engine changes and a transmission rebuild. And a driver change. Aside from that, it's been smooth sailing.
2 of those, the engine change and the driver change in one day.
Now there's Rob Dyson with 2 cars from Dyson Racing in this field. He is the car owner, qualified the car, and he shares with Elliott Forbes Robinson, who will run for the series championship with them, and John Paul Jr., also on the driving strength of this car.
I don't think John Paul Jr. is going to do the entire championship. EFR is the guy that they're putting in there for the points. He will be taking over from Rob Dyson, their first pit stop.
Rob started the car 14th, currently runs 8th. As you take a look at the running order in just the sports racer category, they run 1st through 3rd in the overall. GTO Mustang with Terry Borchler, Ron Johnson currently runs in 4th place. You can take a look at race leader James Weaver in the other Dyson car.
More sparks coming off there as he bumps into that turn 1. This is that tight turn 3 and 4 complex. A lot of very tight reinforcements in the cars. There you can see the 37 car of John Field and Dale Whittington being carried by the 74 car of Baldwin. 37 has been lapped already by the leader, Dyson. And, whoa, there he's watching in his mirror too.
Bouncing off the curbs. That can happen in the nighttime.
But Jack Baldwin's still having a job to get him down a lap. Dale John Field here fighting mightily to hold on to that position. Just wanted to put down a lap by too many cars. Back. Don't forget, the 37 car field actually stopped earlier on in that yellow flag situation. Wide.
There goes Baldwin up the inside. I think Field probably opened the door to let it through.
Well, that's that turn 9. That's where you're going to see most of the overtaking action tonight. The best place here to do the overtaking.
Splitting that American GT car. I think that's the Spirit of Daytona car making its first race appearance outside of the state of Florida. Sandwiched there, and that gives you an idea of the closing speed of these big sport racers as opposed to the two-frame pony cars.
Which of course is so difficult to spot in the night. You know, you see those lights coming behind you, you're not quite sure what they are.
Here comes Rich Grubb, first in the Sports Racer 2 category. Once again, making its debut here in Phoenix. Lots more of these cars. I know that the Lola factory is planning a run of 10 cars for this season. This is a Mazda-powered kudzu chassis, very famous and developed Jim Downing's shops in Atlanta. We're sharing the car with its owner, Dennis Spencer. Here's a look at the SR2 field summary. Just 3 cars right now, but there'll be more in the future. Count on it. Back onto the stars of Southern Arizona. Bob Barshin, David Hobbs, Sandy Eng, and John Bizignano with you with round 2 of the Grand American Road Racing Series for 2000. There is the car I was talking about earlier, the leader in the American GT category for two-framed American muscle cars. This is Craig Conway sharing with Doug Goad the Spirit of Daytona Camaro.
Turned out car that is too. Bob leading the class pretty easy at the moment. He goes onto the back straight there, coming into NASCAR's turns 3 and 4, 10 and 11 tonight. Going around there, 11 degrees of bank. Here comes the leader up behind him, James Weaver. Tremendous closing speeds here. Very, very difficult at night for everybody. The guys that are being passed, pass there, and pass.
Specs for this American GT class very similar to the Trans Am Road Racing Series. This, of course, is a new class in the series as well, so numbers of cars entered will swell as the races go on. Back to the race leader now, James Weaver, still working traffic.
He's way past Chris Cook and Steve Marshall's Porsche there. He's up on the back straight now. These guys, of course, crank out 5.7 litre Ford V8, cranks out an awful lot of horsepower in a relatively light car, so as John said at the beginning of the show, somewhat like a Formula 1 car with a bit of body work. Very, very fast, powerful car with a lot of downforce too. So when you're picking your way through the traffic, you always have to be very careful because unlike, say, a Winston Cup car, if you just nudge somebody, all that very complicated wing and splitter at the front of the front wheel there, if you damage that, I mean, it can really ruin your day. It might not do much damage money-wise, but it can really ruin your day. Spoil the aerodynamics.
Dyson team went to Daytona this year as defending champions, put up a great fight. As you see Rob Dyson bring the Sixter car, the number 20, into the pits. They were leading that race, suffered a mechanical problem, dropped to 4th overall, but they won their class in Sports Racer. Rob Dyson stands up to allow Elliott Forbes Robinson, blue helmet, to buckle in. This should be a bit of an operation because Rob is a very tall man. Elliott, more of a man of average height, you might say.
I didn't see him with any sort of seat insert. Very often, you know, they have a seat insert they jam into to get himself close to the wheel. So somebody's going to be uncomfortable in that car, either Rob or... Now, he's got a problem. EFR's got some problem. He's trying to get some attention from one of the crew guys. Oh, I see what it is. Look, they're taking off a little windscreen there, which probably had to have for Rob.
Right, so the taller man would sit higher in the cockpit.
Of course, he wouldn't be able to see through it because at this time it might be all covered in bugs and scratches and everything. So it was very keen for them to take that off.
Elliott Forbes Robinson brings the car back on track.
New tires on there.
As we mentioned earlier, EFR, as he's known, will run for the championship, season-long Grand Am Series. He has won several driving championships in the past. He's driven just about everything with wheels. Still a legend in Atlantic racing, the open-wheeled cars. He's also driven Trans Am, you name it. He is now in the car. Rob Dyson is out, and John Bizignano is in the Dyson pits.
Rob Dyson, before this race, you told me you were a little bit nervous about starting in the middle of the field at night. How was it out there?
Well, it was interesting. Everybody really behaved themselves. I was very impressed. The on-course conduct was excellent. The first 4 or 5 laps, I didn't see anybody touching bodywork or anything. It was excellent.
James Weaver is leading this race. He's reporting in that everything is smooth. Is there anyone here who can touch him?
I hope Elliott and JP can finish up the job, and maybe we can give him a run for it.
Well, they're preparing for his first pit stop, guys, and that Ferrari seems awful fast coming through the field.
No question about that, John. And here is Domenico Mimo Schiattarella in that Ferrari, currently third. On that pit stop, Rob Dyson brought the Dyson Racing Riley and Scott in 8th. EFR left in 12th. As we go to the sister car, the 16 of James Weaver, got plenty of traffic on the lead now. Goes by the American GT class leading the Spirit of Daytona Camaro and continues on his way back to Phoenix for more. Welcome back to PIR. Bob Marshall, David Hobbs, Sandy Yang, and John Bizignano with you for the Sun Automotive 200, presented by AsCentral.com and Cars.com. Looking at the number 22 SR2 class, second place runner Ryan Hampton, Chevrolet-powered Magnum chassis.
Yes, they passed the All-American GT leader. There's the 99 car. Martin Snow at the wheel. That's the Lola Nissan. 11th overall. He's third in that SR2 class. Brand new car.
Martin Snow doing some of the driving campaign Porsches in the production-based GT categories for many years. This may be his first foray into the prototype open cockpit machines.
Driving, of course, tonight was Stu Hayner. His partner in his car, Larry Schumacher, as we've already said, felt that his eyesight wasn't going to be up to this night. Again, squeezed past the 09 car down to that turn 1.
Boy, he gets right to the pit wall.
Sure does. Into that turn 2 and 3 complex. It's very difficult to keep a good momentum up through here, which is very important.
Back to the race lead, James Weaver, who still has not yet pitted. When he does, he may or may not hand over to his teammate, Andy Wallace.
To pit now and hand over, that would be a long stint. There's the number 5 car, which is leading GTO class.
It's an interesting team. This is the Celine Allen Speed Lab Mustang. Celine Mustang, the fastest production cars in the world. This is the racing iteration. Team co-owned by Steve Celine and TV celebrity Tim Allen.
You can see just how fast it is there. Almost, I mean, it held that number 16 car off at bay there, but most of the length of that back.
Again. Here's where the difference will be. It's the superior aerodynamics and braking of the prototype car.
Still hanging in there. This is the 37 car there of John Field and Dale Whittington. There's the FR who took over from Rob Dyson just a few moments ago, trying to work his way up towards. They lost a few places on that pit stop, so he's trying to work his way up now. Come up here with John Field in 4th.
Field from Dublin, Ohio. Far from the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, and of course the home of Bobby Rahall's open-wheel kart FedEx Championship team. There's Andy Wallace.
Now that answers the question about the driver changing the lead car. Andy Wallace, of course, with the most amazing endurance racing record. Drifts off to Le Mans in 1988, wins it. I'm on the plane with him going home. Well, what else do you want to do, mate? You know, you go races to win, don't you? And I thought, yeah, I've just tried 20 times to win this race. And he won that because he won the Daytona Rolex 24 3 times. So Andy Wallace, very, very experienced. Waiting to get in. Here comes the lead car. You can see him really clamping on the brakes there. 45-mile-an-hour limit speed lane. A lot of dust lying around this track. A lot of it blown in off the surrounding desert because it's been incredibly windy all week, blowing all that dust and debris onto the racetrack as he comes in at 45 miles an hour, waiting for Andy Wallace to take over. What a team this is, Wallace and Weaver. That's a tough combo to beat.
Two superb drivers. In addition to Le Mans and Daytona, Andy Wallace has also won the 12 Hours at Sebring on at least one occasion. He is contracted to the new Cadillac North Star Le Mans project, but they're not doing an awful lot of racing as they prepare for France. So Andy Wallace has come back home, so to speak, to the Dysing Racing team, whom he has driven to many, many victories.
Weaver there helping him buckle up. Radio, water, seat belts. Driver changing these cars is not easy as Wallace pulls out onto the track. And he will no doubt finish the race out now. They won't make another stop to pick that 40%.
Pit exit empties right out onto the racing line as the cars dive down in there into turn 1. No problem when you're running the NASCAR oval. When you're using the infield road course as well, you can get very close, especially once again at night.
Makes for a lot of traffic as they go into that turn 2, which is a tight left-hander coming off the very fast left-hander as you approach it.
On that pit stop, we had an exchange of the lead. There is Jack Baldwin, who has completed their charge from the back of the pack after their engine woes were corrected with a change. In fact, the engine they put in this car, the Jet V10, came from the Doran team, who also uses the V10 power plant. They are now first in the race. Let's go down to Sandy.
Jim Fraser here is the team manager for Jack Baldwin. Great run from the back of the pack for you.
Yeah, our Formix car's doing really well. We're pretty excited. We got lucky with the first yellow and elected to stay out. We get pretty good mileage with the car, so that's what we're hoping on to catch these guys is mileage.
We're watching the times. Are they getting better?
We've picked up since the start of the race. Now that the field's sorted out, we're in clear traffic. We're doing good.
Well, that is an understatement. They are doing great. Jack Baldwin leads. He's got Herb Hare waiting in the pits. Great mileage from the 10 engine. You would expect it. They're getting it. We are back at Phoenix International Raceway, where the Grand Am Sun Automotive 200 continues, and this is the first pit stop for the Intersport Racing Ford Lola. John Field will get out. Co-driver Dale Whittington will climb in.
Car's been running steadily all night. Just a little bit off the pace. This is the car, of course, that's been really setting the pace. The 74 car of Jack Baldwin starting at the back of the grid after their engine blow up this morning. New co-driver waiting to take that over, Herb Hare. He hasn't driven here yet in the night, of course.
No, he hasn't, but I guess if you're going to have an engine fail, better to have it in the warm-up and in the race itself. It's number 81 GTU Porsche 911 of Darren Law. Overall, he is 12th, but he is leading that category, racing against some more Porsches and the BMWs.
The SR2 car, 99 car getting around there. Still Martin Snow, we haven't seen him come yet.
Law drove in the old North American Super Touring Series. There you see the field summary for that class. 4 Porsches, the new GT3Rs and the older RSRs.
The BMW M3 languishing in the back of that class, which is not like BMW, been very successful. These GT classes, North American racing class 2.
I believe those are now privately entered cars purchased from the Semi-Works team, Prototype Technology Group up in Virginia. It's had tremendous success. It took them a long time to develop that BMW, but boy, when they got it right, they swept all before them.
They did. They had a fantastic couple of years. Porsche have reasserted their muscle. Of course, Porsche has been involved in racing and winning in racing now for, wow, 40 years, 50 years almost. And tremendously successful. They're coming back into those GTU classes very, very strongly.
Another example of Porsche. This is Kevin Buckler. Unmistakable silhouette of the 911.
Certainly beautiful looking car. Swooping around here tonight. There's the number 5 car, the GTO leader, about to whistle by him on this back straight. There he goes. Ron Johnson, Terry Porcella driving that. Both very experienced at this type of racing, this level of racing, and going very, very strong this weekend.
Flashing across the start-finish line. The interesting things of sports car racing is you go to the racetrack, close your eyes, listen to the sounds of the cars going by, try to guess what kind of car it is.
Because they all sound so different. And of course, tonight we've got a tremendous amount of classes running together.
It's Elliott Forbes Robinson being lapped by the race leader, Jack Baldwin. It's a surprise.
That is a surprise. EFR running considerably off the pace to what I really would have thought he'd have been.
Pick up the 16 car with Andy Wallace. Now he is locked in battle with that number 12 Ferrari that came from the back, Nimo Schiattarella. He'll be handing over to German Ralph Kelleners. He makes his stop.
Andy Wallace going for the inside here. Is he going to have the inside line when they come up to the very fast turns, 10 and 11?
This is for a place. This is for second place.
Schiattarella held on there.
At the upper left, you see the overall field summary. Celine Mustang leads GTO and runs 6th in the overall. Number of GTU cars running in the top 15. Even the lead car in the American GT class is in 15th place.
Terrific battle shaping up here for this second spot. Wallace and Schiattarella, a couple of the best road racing drivers in the world. So having a nice midnight battle here. The confine is 1.5 mile track. 11 corners, a lot of corners. Ooh, a lot of traffic in front now, so we're going to get some sorting out here.
There's an opportunity, and up the inside for second place goes Andy Wallace.
Schiattarella got a little bit balked there by the 66 car, just enough to have to lift off the throttle there. And that allows Wallace to maintain the momentum, get in front. Look at this, sandwiching that GTU car there.
One of the GTU BMWs.
More traffic coming up.
Here's another look at the pass.
Just got balked that little tiny bit, but that allowed Wallace, of course, the Ford V8 probably got just a little bit more torque than the Ferrari V12 in that lower rev range anyway.
That was what I was about to say. One of the complaints about the Ferrari, and there are very few, but if there is a criticism, it would be a lack of torque coming off the corners, which that big Ford V8 would have. We see tire smoke up ahead, down in the hairpin, and brake lights flashing. Plenty of traffic. It's entertaining for us, maybe not so for the guys who are driving. We'll be back. Welcome back to the Sun Automotive 200 at Phoenix International Raceway. Bob Marshall along with David Hobbs, Sandy Heng, and John Bizignano. Glad to have you with us here on Steam Vision. There is your race leader, Jack Baldwin, first overall and in the sports racer class. Coming up on the car that sat on pole for this race and led much of the early going, Andy Wallace in the number 16, Dyson, Riley, and Scott Ford.
Jack Baldwin putting on a pretty sterling display here. Now, of course, he hasn't had his pit stop yet, so his car must be getting pretty low on fuel, so it's going to be light. On the other hand, his tyres aren't as new as Andy Wallace's either. Very, very evenly matched here with Ford V8 power, 5.5 litre versus V10 Judd power.
Still impressed they're getting such great gas mileage out of that Judd V10 as you take a look at the class summary.
They obviously are getting very good mileage because it's some time ago now that Andy Wallace got in that car. And as I said, Jack Baldwin still has yet to make his stop.
Distinctive engine sound from that big Ford V8. Wallace dives down, takes a bit of a different line than his teammate James Weaver did. Weaver was right up against that wall. Wallace a little bit further out.
Not exactly hanging on the brake for a long time either. Just a flash of brake light as he slowed down there for about 175 miles an hour. Didn't seem to spend too much time on the old anchors there.
That's actually a double apex turn there, turn one. Wallace says he goes down a gear after his entry, gets right back on the power again. There's your GTO class leader. There's the Saleen Mustang, co-owned by Steve Saleen and TV personality Tim Allen.
Terry Borchler has been driving that car since the beginning of the race, so he must be thinking about making a pit stop and putting Ron Johnson in that car. Very, very, very easy class leader moment there. You see the field summary for the GTO cars.
Saleen Operation, just one of the high-tech racing teams that have chosen to throw in their lot with the new Grand American Road Racing Association. Let's take this moment to look at how the organization was built and the man who will lead it. Despite the general upward trend in motorsports through the end of the century, the 1990s were tough for sports car racing. The skyrocketing cost of technology put winning beyond the means of all but a chosen few. Participation dwindled. To change that, the new Grand Am formula was devised, enlisting the organizational talents of a man who made his name in two-wheeled motorsport, former American Motorcyclist Association Pro Racing Chief and Championship Cup Series founder, Roger Edmondson. As president of the Grand Am, Edmondson has already begun realizing his goals for the new series.
Well, our primary focus here is to have a viable North American Road Racing Championship. And the first year's goal was to have a good schedule, and we've done that. Virtually all of the traditional road courses, with the exception of one or two, are on our schedule in year number one. We want to build on that schedule in the years to come and provide the promoters with a product they can sell to their spectators, and provide the team owners with the opportunity to field their car and get the maximum use out of the formula.
That formula is based on the primacy of the privateer racer over the factory team. The Grand Am plan aims at rules that give every competitor an equal chance of winning on merit, which will attract more competitors, which makes the racing better for everyone involved.
Absolutely. You know, I mean, back in the days of the Camel GT and the IMSA days, those were great days, and I was proud to be a part of that. And you know, it's been a little bit of a tough road for road racing, but you know, there's some people in Grand Am that believe in the sport and believe that there's a lot of fans out there that have been denied some of the nice racing that they're going to see here in the next year and years to come. And I tell you, I can't tell you how privileged I am to be a part of Robinson Racing and George Robinson's operation, and have a fine sponsor like Informic Software to join us for this, you know, for this rebirth of road racing in America.
As it was for IMSA in the 80s, a key element of the Grand Am strategy is affordability. Rather than allowing factories to field their own teams of proprietary cars, the Grand Am Series encourages the sale of cars and equipment to private owners.
Anybody can buy a car from a manufacturer, you know, lease an engine from a manufacturer, buy tires from a manufacturer, and be competitive and win races.
Could the Grand Am lead a return to the glory days of the late 1980s? Time will tell. But there are positive signs given the personalities involved.
Well, you know, 30 years ago, Bill France Sr. helped John Bishop start IMSA. And here we are now in an environment where Bill France Jr. and Jim France and the rest of the France family have helped us start Grand Am. But this is a freestanding company. It's got 25 different investors. We get a lot of help from NASCAR, we get a lot of help from International Speedway, but it's up to us to make our business work on our own. And certainly helps to have those guys in our corner.
No question about that. Now, here is the first pit stop we've seen for the Snow Schumacher Racing Sports Racer Lights category car. Larry Schumacher, as we mentioned early, not driving this weekend. Stu Hainer has been brought in, and he will get into the car now to take over from Martin Snow.
Another big responsibility, isn't it, to get into a car that you haven't really driven much before in the middle of the night.
No question about that. Hainer with his hands full. Here's a look at the top 20 as we take a break. We'll return to Phoenix in just a moment. Back at Phoenix, where the race leader, in fact, the leaders in 2 of our 5 categories are in the pits. You just saw the 74 overall leader in. There is the number 5 GTO class leader, Jerry Borchler.
Jack Baldwin brings the car to a halt. Obviously going to make a driver change here. And Irv Hare jumps in, obviously helping each other. It's always a big, difficult job, this change. There's so much to be plugged in and unplugged on these cars. And there is Mimo Iaccarella also coming in and changing over for Ralph Kellner. Ralph Kellner's Speed Vision viewers have seen him on our Porsche Cup shows from Europe. There's a 74 car pulling off, still in the lead, or has the 16 car managed to get around it while the 74 car is stopped?
Yes, there is 16. Sandy Wallace retaking the race lead over the 74. Riley and Scott Judd, that Ferrari in 3rd place. This should set up a great scramble to the end of this race.
Got a pretty good lead there. He's just going down the back straight, whereas Irv Hare will be still in the infield. Coming into turns 10 and 11, of course, very high-speed turns in the prototype cars. Of course, puts a lot of heat in those outside tires because they obviously have the chassis set up to go on the infield as well, unlike an oval racing car where it's set up to keep that heat out of the tires. Here we see Freddie Leinhart still in the car from the beginning of the race. He's doing a pretty good job. He's hanging on to 4th spot at the moment, so not doing a bad job at all. Waiting to hand over, of course, to the real pro, Didier Taves.
Some cars coming up behind him, however. That looks like, yeah, that's Dale Whittington having taken over for John Field in that Ford-powered Lola. Traffic ahead. This should get interesting.
Having a look down there at turn 9, pulling out onto that back straight. You can see that All-American GT car gets off the line pretty good. It takes a long time for that faster, really, the 27 car to catch up. Now he, of course, in those high-speed oval corners.
G loading on the right side.
25 car saw him coming, but of course at night it's so hard to tell with those lights booming in the rear mirror, view mirror are significantly quicker than you or going about the same speed. While you're worrying about it, looking in the mirror, it's all over, he's gone by.
Well, right now Whittington is right there, closed right up on Freddie Leinhart. Just behind them, I think, is the number 17 car. Interesting story there. A hybrid racing, Park Place Racing, Ford, Riley, and Scott that was not originally entered in this race, but came down today from Southern California, about a 5-hour drive, was allowed to turn some early laps, showed they had competitive speed. Chris Bingham and Mark Simo sharing the car. Started at the back, and here they are racing.
A good combination. Mark Simo, of course, his brother Brian, a leading Trans Am contender for the last few years, and this year also. Mark Simo does a lot of GTU driving in the BMW team.
3 wide. Oh, man, right at that kink in the pit wall.
And it's difficult to spot that. The road camber changes drastically. Look at that 17 car now right up behind Dale Whittington.
They just ate up Freddie Leinhardt and that Judd Doran. All this, of course, while they're lapping slower cars.
A lot of traffic out there and a lot of lights. Here's our car with the onboard camera, G&W Motorsports Porsche 911 RSR, 81 car. Driver change going on there.
Darren Law getting out and handing over to his teammate,
Mike Fitzgerald.
Mike Fitzgerald, both men from right here in Phoenix, Arizona.
So they haven't got far to go home to bed tonight then.
There's the number 22, part of the Sports Racer 2 category. Looks like they've got a problem there. They're being held by a series official.
That's Larry Alberto and Ryan Hampton, so they must have had some sort of picking correction.
And then we've got a GTU car pointed in the wrong direction. Easy to do at night. Number 18 GTU class, Fordall Motorsports Porsche 911 RSR. Kimberly Hiskey sharing with, I know I'll get this wrong, but I'll give it a shot, Steve Valentinetti. Meanwhile, life continues apace on the racetrack for number 16, Andy Wallace. First overall and in class.
Putting another lap there on the All-American GT class leader, Joe Nightcar. Looking very good as he, I wouldn't say saunters through the infield, but certainly rushing through the infield there. Not much traffic at the moment.
Watch those headlight beams and you get a feeling for how rough the racetrack is, bouncing around. Also, there's some concrete patches in these corners, particularly in that long infield right-hander. Flashing headlights. Car number 50, Bill Auberlin. Does a lot of prototype racing in his own right. Here he's been drafted in to drive one of the BMW M3 sedans. It's car number 50. Genesis Racing BMW, he's sharing with Rick Fairbanks from Greenville, South Carolina.
Well, Bill Auberlin in the BMW got off to a fairly bad start in this race, but look at him now. Has assumed the class lead with the 81 car stopping in the pits and the 18 car spinning out of the track.
A lot of racing still to come. There's Ryan Hampton, 9th overall, now first in the Sports Racer 2 category. That Chevy-powered Magnum. Looks like he's missing one headlight. Parts of the country, they call that a padiddle. We'll be back to Phoenix. Back in Phoenix, the action continues. Grand American road racing style. Bob Marsh and David Hobbs with you. Freezing up that right front.
Absolutely, Ralphie locking that up early on in his stint. He didn't want to do that too early on now, otherwise you'll flat spot that tyre and it'll make it very uncomfortable for the rest of the stint.
German Ralph Kelleners. Named for himself the Rolex 24 a couple of years ago in Daytona. And here he is in the 12 Ferrari. Up front, Andy Wallace. Perfectly judged race for the Dyson, Ford, Riley, and Scott thus far. Looks like he's got some clear track to race on, too.
A great moment of relaxation whilst leading the race, not having too much traffic. And here's the 27 car in. Freddie Leinhardt's going to get out. And of course, Didier Tays is going to take over. Having a bit of trouble over the belts, isn't they? Here's a 20 car coming in too for a pit stop. EFR gets out and John Paul Jr. is going to get in. I thought John Paul was not feeling too good and there was some doubt as to whether he was going to drive, but anyway, I guess EFR has done enough to get points for the championship, and John Paul is going to take over and see the race out.
Dueling pit stops continue. This is back at the Doran pit.
Taking a long time to change drivers here. Everything else is done. Tires, fuel.
Freddie Leinhardt and Didier Tays not that different in terms of physical stature, so there's not a lot of adjusting to those belts to be done, unless of course there's a problem with the belts themselves, but one way or the other. Belgian transplant now living in Phoenix, Arizona area, brings that Doran, a Ferrari Judd-powered car, back on track. He is, I think Freddie Leinhardt would be the first to say, a bit quicker than Freddie is, so we'll see what Didier can do. Right now he's not up to speed. Oh, he almost nudged that GTU car right up over the curbs.
He doesn't want to get too much traffic getting in front of him because the 81 car has just slipped by him. But no doubt he'll soon be able to dispose of him. Of course, like a lot of classes of racing, these cars do not have tyre warmers. So when you go out after a pit stop, you've got to be careful. It takes some time to get the tyre up to racing temperature. It's one of those things when the track gets slippery. Later on in the race, there's a lot of rolled up rubber. You want some real temperature in your tyres before you start sticking your neck out.
Well, the running order in the GTU class, the BMW up front with Bill Auberlin, then the number 81 car, then this car, the number 18 in the hands of Kimberly Hiskin. More action in the pit lane.
That is the 37 car. That's Dale Whittington getting out and John Field getting back in. John Field started this race. So they decided to elected to make 2 driver changes there.
This Lola, although a year old, part of the new generation of open-top sports racers. Meanwhile, back on track, Andy Wallace continues to thump on around. Got the GTO leader just behind him.
That Celine Mustang has put on a fantastic show all weekend. It really has. Field going in. Give it a bit of a dab. And John Field takes off again.
45-mile-an-hour pit lane speed limit.
Boy, that's tough, those speed limits in the pit lane. You drop the clutch, you go rocketing out there, wheels spinning and clutch flying. You just can't do it. You've got to really control yourself until you get down here.
Coming by, that's the race leader, the 16 Dyson car. Going by John Field, putting a lap on him. Kimberly up ahead now has the race leader filling her mirrors.
By there. Into that turn 6.
Hiskey sharing the Porsche 911 RSR. Valentinetti has gotten out. With very little attrition, which is surprising. It's a bumpy racetrack, as we mentioned early in the show, hard on the mechanicals.
And of course, one of the things that makes it tough on the mechanicals, Bob, is the fact that all these slow corners here, you've got a lot of really violent acceleration. You've got some serious horsepower in some of these engines, and an amazing amount of torque multiplication. Very tough on gearboxes and drive shafts, especially accelerating over those bumps.
But with very little contact among the cars and very few mechanical problems, to make a long story short, there's going to be traffic all night long on this 1.51 mile combined road course and oval. We'll take a break and return with more racing as the laps begin to run out here at Phoenix. Stay with us. Back in Phoenix, you're looking at the GTO class leader here at the Sun Automotive 200. This is the Celine Speed Lab. I should say Celine Allen Speed Lab Mustang version. It's a spectacular car. Road-going version of the car looks almost exactly like this. They are very, very cool Mustangs.
They're great, aren't they? And Ron Borchella and Ron Johnson and Terry Borchester have been doing a great job. There's Didier Tays behind the wheel now, going underneath the Zero car. That's the GTO car of Greg Wilkins and David Lacey.
Turbocharged Porsche. Flat 6 engine format that really hasn't changed in, what, 35 years in the 911 series?
Pretty similar in a way to the 935 that I used to race in IMSA back in 1981, 2 and 3, which had the flat 6 twin turbo, very, very fast car. Big outright winner.
Underneath the back of the car, when it goes tails away, you can see the glowing from the exhaust, the turbos.
Scare the heck out of me at night. And you'd follow somebody like Daytona or on. Right behind them, there's this big glowing lump of metal just a couple of feet in front of your nose. You knew that if anything happened to it, it would come right through your windshield.
Well, that's the thing about Porsches, right? Nothing ever happens to them. They just run and run and run.
Well, that is true. People used to put them down as an expensive date, but they weren't. They were really a pretty cheap date. And here is the lead car coming in.
Andy Wallace brings the number 16 R&S Ford from the Dyson team in. Boy, it looks so slow at 45 miles per hour.
Oh, it must feel like, it just feels dreadful.
Crew falls to work on the car. No driver change here. It appears this Englishman will stay in. The other one, James Weaver, who qualified and started the car, will remain on the pit wall. Oh, we've got a spin out there. John Field, having just gotten back into that car, taking over from Dale Whittington. It's pretty harmless, though.
He doesn't lose the engine. Going, pulls out in front of GTU car. Didn't see what it was.
While action continues in the Dyson pits. Now there's Irv Hare in the number 74 car running in second place. Andy Wallace was all alone on the lead lap. He should be able to get back on the racetrack and easily maintain his race lead over Hare. And there's Wallace back underway.
So Andy Wallace is nearly a lap in front now of Irv Hare, but I tell you what, that Irv Hare car going very, very well, considering the tribulations and trials they've had today.
Reiterate, 2 blown engines and a transmission to be fixed. Let's get down to the Dyson pit now. John Visignano standing by with the man who started that car, James Weaver.
James, you made it look easy out there. You were able to hold on to the lead, pull away from everyone. The car looked totally stable.
Yeah, the car's flying. The only problem we've got is the Robinson car with the Judd engine has got quite spectacular fuel consumption. It's probably about 40% better than us, which, I mean, it's quite extraordinary because our engine is unbelievably lean and they're still smoking us. So they're going to do the race on 1 pit stop against R2. So I would say they're looking pretty strong to win at the moment.
And what can you do to increase your fuel mileage out on the track? Start short shifting?
It's very difficult because it's not like our engine's bad. I mean, there's a lambda sensor in the exhaust that tells you how lean it is, and that is leaner than Porsche run at Le Mans, for example, and they're the past masters at running a lean motor. So how they do it, I don't know.
They're going through the numbers down here, guys. They'll figure it out.
Thank you, John. Well, with 2 stops complete now for the Dyson team, and the 1 stop complete, if that is in fact the strategy being used by the Robinson Racing crew, here then the Dyson team's in pretty good shape.
Somebody locking up there. Here's Ralph Garner. I wonder if it was him again. We saw him locking his front brakes up earlier on.
Another thing we do see in the Grand American Series and in sports car racing generally is a battle not only among makes, engines, what have you. There was a lockup right there.
Locking up a lot, isn't he?
We also see a diversity of tires. Goodyears, you have Dunlops, you have Thomas, Pirellis. We see virtually every major tire brand in the world represented.
Which, of course, is very important for all these tire manufacturers because they all like bragging rights of winning the class or winning the race overall or winning both as it happens. So it's a very important thing. He spends a lot of money on it, tremendous amount. Dyson has always been loyal to his friends. He's always stuck with Goodyear. And they're obviously doing it pretty good at the moment as they're leading the race fairly comfortably.
That they are. Remains to be seen if Irv Hare can run them down driving a strange car, a strange racetrack. A strange evening in Phoenix. We'll be back. Back at Phoenix, Bob Varsha, David Hobbs, Sandy Eng, and John Visignano with you for the Sun Automotive 200, presented by AsCentral.com and Cars.com. It's round 2, debut season for the Grand American Road Racing Series. We're watching Doug Goad coming under fire from one of the sports racers from the Dyson stable and letting the faster car go by.
With John Paul Jr. driving, getting used to the traffic. It's a funny thing, you know, jumping to a race into the dark. One thing starting a race in the daylight and going into the dark, and you just jump in the first time in the dark. It takes you a couple of laps to sort of get used to things, and of course you can't see stuff lying around on the track like you would do in the race.
Big debris of danger.
He's a nice boy, that debris.
Right. Pierre Debris.
Pierre Debris, and there's the 09 car. Still comfortable in the All-American GT car. Big wing of it.
Sports racer coming up, so Goad does the right thing, takes a very wide line going in, lets the high downforce car behind him come through.
See, he's got to be careful doing that too, because as the race is winding down now, there's a lot of debris and rolled up rubber gets pushed to the outside of those corners, which you can't see in the dark.
Tire smoke up ahead.
Must be Ralph Kellner's again.
Right.
In fact, you can see the marbles and you can see the shadows of them from the headlights and from that low camera back there. It's at turn 7, which is so important to get a good shot down this straight into turn 9. You're not going to overtake anybody at the moment. You want to try and make up time any way you can on a lap.
You mentioned earlier these American GT two-frame pony cars, as we used to call them in the Trans Am series, are not used to running at night. Mostly daylight runners, so the bodywork does not contain headlights. I think you saw on that 09 car that they had to sort of jury-rig those headlights to the front of the cars. We go back to Andy Wallace leading the race for Dyson Racing.
Now they have got plenty of light. The 84 car that had the big crash yesterday started off at the back of the grid at their choice, and still out there plugging along in his class.
Once again, you look at those headlights, those look like original factory equipment. Can't get over what a wonderful job this crew did getting this car back in shape. Dings there in the passenger side body work. Boy, they did a tremendous job.
He certainly did. I mean, he absolutely would not know that car yesterday, leaning up against the wall on the fastest part of his race.
Andy McNeil from High Point, North Carolina, and Doug Mills from Hagerstown, Maryland, sharing the driving chores in this car. It was McNeil who suffered the crash last night that led to an all-nighter by the crew. This car on the track for today's race.
Yeah, even worse, it's an all-nighter followed by an all-dayer because this race didn't start. No excuses, lads. Going to get stuck in these
Just slightly down off the oval racetrack onto the road course.
Hounded by the 99 car there. The SR2 runners.
Nissan Lola, Snow and Hayner.
You hate at the wheel now, I believe.
Look at the field summary. Sports racers up front. See that the Dyson team has chosen to name their 20 car a Lincoln Riley and Scott. I wonder if there's any factory connection there. Lincoln coming out with new sportier models over the millennium. Seems like an obvious thing for the marketer. And still, Ralph Kellner's is smoking in the Ferrari.
He must be having a big problem with his braking somewhere. He got the balance wrong, or he can't fix it, or can't do anything about it, because he's just locking them up into practically everything. Except that.
He's trying awfully hard. That car on Goodyear's too, you know. He's just trying so hard to get back into this fight.
Well, they had a big deficit to make up. They started at the back. And they're fastest in qualifying. They had an infraction with the airbox, which was the back of the grid. Of course, they were joined there by the 74 car, which is currently lying second.
Flame from the exhaust as he downshifts that V12 Ferrari 4-liter. Valves. Texas now right front locking up, and the rears too smoking badly. German is trying hard. Take a break. More excitement to come from Phoenix. Don't go away. Welcome back to Phoenix, where the action continues in round 2 of the Grand Am season here on Speed Vision. Bob Marshall along with David Hobbs with you. GTU battle here. The 07 Porsche runs in 5th position. For 55, BMW M3 is 4th. 55 cars, the sister car to the class-leading BMW M3, the 55 being driven by Andy Pilgrim, having taken over for Scott Newman, who started it. And the 07 G&W Motorsports Porsche RSR, Steve Marshall, Virginia, is now in for Chris Cook.
Andy Pilgrim, an absolute expert at this type of racing, with the highly modified street sedans, or even not so modified street sedans. Andy Pilgrim has a great feel for that sort of car. He lives in Florida, and he's a computer engineer as well as a race driver. But, he does well in this sort of a vehicle.
Is his string of race finishes still going on? At one point he had over 110 or 15 consecutive race finishes in endurance racing at all levels, which is just mind-boggling.
It is absolutely mind-boggling. And here's a man who's mind-boggling too, Andy Wallace. Every time he goes to one of those major events, he walks off with the winner's laurels. Yeah, very, very successful in those long races. As we said, he won his first ever Le Mans in 1988, won the Daytona 24-hour 3 times, and has won Sebring at least once.
I think certain individuals spend their entire careers trying to do.
Well, we won't mention one right now, but you know where they are approximately in this room. There's the 22 car, still got one headlight going there.
Archangel Motorsport Services Chevrolet Magnum, new SR2 category. Mario Berto and Ryan Hampton sharing.
There's the lead car. Swanning unperturbed on his way. Here is the Hampton car.
Well, I guess he still has that left headlight. Risking the black flag here. It looks like a fairly dim headlight, too, in comparison to, say, this. Dennis Spencer, first in the Sports Racer 2 class.
The Kudzu Mazda engine car. Remember you and I reporting on the Le Mans race a few years ago when Johnny Herbert won the 24-hour race in Le Mans in the Mazda engine vehicle.
Great race. Jackie Eakes running that Mazda program.
Some cars that aren't here this weekend, of course, are the Reynard chassis, which were very much sought after, but all 3 of those have gone back to England. They're being worked on by Nigel Stroud, who was the engineer on that car when it won the Le Mans 24-hour race.
Right. George Robinson, not in this race because of sickness, but whose 74 car currently runs second in the race and in the Sports Racer 1 category. Flipped one of those Reynards in testing. Scary accident. He walked away from it, but decided that car needed a little more work before they would compete with it.
So when they come back in, you know, we're going to have a tremendous variety of cars. Somebody going pretty slowly there as Andy Wallace has to weave his way around. I didn't quite catch the number. There's the 99 car, also in the SR2 Championship, running for the second spot at the moment, the Nissan engine, V6.
Rocketing off the corner. Show plenty of speed in those Sports Racer 2s. The lights or whatever we'll wind up calling them when the season wears on.
Of course, they are a bit lighter than the main protagonists. Like this guy here, the Goring Special with V8 Tays at the wheel now. Now he's caught up with Ralph Kelleners in the 12 car. Both of them being held up just slightly by the 99 car.
Between 2 of the Sports Racer 1s, it's the race leader, Wallace. Look out who that was. He went around. Is that his sister car? I think it was John Paul in the 20th. Uh-oh. The 22 has now lost headlights completely. That puts a different spin on racing around PIR in the dark.
Boy. Now that, I would think, will almost certainly bring out the black flag, but he's still got rear lights, but no headlights.
He will certainly draw a black flag. In fact, he has. Black flag for car number 22.
Probably the black flag at night.
Can't see it. I'll take that case. But I would imagine Ryan Hampton is being told by the crew that he's going to have to bring it in. Well, these sorts of things will happen with new efforts.
Magnum's a good-looking car. There's some good-looking cars out there. The Lolas, the Riding Scotts, the Reynards, and the Magnum.
Well, that is part of the fun of sports cars. You go to see the diversity, all of these different brands. Other than the Porsches and the GTU class, I don't think there's more than one example of any particular lineup of car. Well, perhaps the 2 Dyson Ford-powered vehicles. Ryan Hampton brings his SR2 in. Chevy Magnum will park in its pit. They'll try to get the lights working again. We'll take a break and see if they can get it done when we return to Phoenix. Stay with us. Welcome back to Phoenix. Dennis Spencer continues to make his way around this 1.5-mile combined road course and oval in the Mazda-powered Kudzu chassis in the Sports Racer 2 category. Meanwhile, over in the pit lane, this may be Ryan Hampton. Yes, it is. In that Chevy Magnum. Oh, we got a spinner out there.
Camera car, the 81 vehicle, spinning around at turn 7. Ooh, there goes the 12. Ralph Kellner's down the inside at turn 9.
There's Mike Fitzgerald at the controls. Another pit stop here, and a very leisurely one. That's not a good sign. Here's your race leader, Andy Wallace, making his way through the dust, left hanging in the air, but off by Fitzgerald. Interesting to see that dust hang in the air. As David mentioned, past couple of days, the wind has been rocking this place. 30, 40 mile an hour winds. At one point, many of the teams were afraid that the awnings outside their haulers were just going to blow away. And in fact, one advertising balloon did. Just disappeared over the Estrella Mountains like a satellite.
There's a 17 car, a late starter, didn't arrive at the track till this morning. And look at that, 5th overall, absolutely amazing. Chris Bingham and Mark Simo.
This is a 6-liter Ford from the Lozano Brothers shops down in Texas. The Dyson team said they had experimented with larger displacement engines, but they had a hard time fitting them in the car. This is a similar Riley and Scott chassis, but this team says, nope, not a problem. Just dropped it right in there.
The advantage of 6-liter, of course, is a little bit more torque on some of the tight corners, but you have to carry more weight. It's one of those things you really got to weigh it up to see what advantage you get. Because obviously more weight, it's tough on your brakes, tough on your drive shaft. Woo! Clipping a cone there that I think was errant.
Off and on, that 58's Porsche, also missing a headlight. It's the Steve Meisner Sam Shalala car out of Texas, the 911 RSR.
And of course, finally, with the heavier car, you have obviously extended, your tire wear. You see it again. There's that cone. Seems to be just perched in the middle of the track.
Not anymore.
Big block up there from Bingham.
A bit of a squirm from John Field in that Lola Ford behind him. I think he thought he was going to run right into the back of the car ahead.
There's no doubt there's some pressure from John Field that made Bingham lock him up there, because he suddenly realized that those lights behind him are in fact quick headlights and not just any old headlights. Look at this. John Field right tucked under his wing as they go on around that turn 6 and 7. A little jog left here around 8. A bit of irritation, that sort of jog, because it means you can't overtake quite where you'd like to. He couldn't get him on braking there at 9. Thought he might be able to pull it off. And right behind them, is that John Paul Jr.?
I believe that's Didier Tays. Whoop, got a spinner. Now, this is the car that spun. This is the Roush Mustang that brought out our first yellow flag. That brings out another, Bruce Nesbitt, whose partner Paul Jenkins spun earlier. Bruce is the car owner, I believe. Probably thought, well, I can do as good as that.
Obviously won't start. You can see all that fuel pouring down the exhaust pipe. You're correct, it is the car. That still won't fire up.
Will this bring out the caution flag again? Only the second time today. That in itself is a bit of a surprise. It looks like he's killed the engine now. Yes, the safety trucks will head out. Second caution of the day, lap 124. The Chevy Corvette pace car will be on track. That will close up the field once again. It's remarkable that we've had so few intrusions in the flow of green flag racing this afternoon, or this evening, I should say.
So a terrific race here going on between those 3 cars, and of course, will that allow Irv Hare and these 3 guys to catch up with the lead? It depends how long that caution flag is out, but they could easily bunch up right behind Wallace for the restart.
If anybody needed a splash of fuel or problems perhaps with a slow leaking tire, this would be a great opportunity to duck into the pits and get that fixed.
A great looking pace car that Corvette makes, doesn't it? It's absolutely fantastic.
Waving cars by to get to the race leader, the number 16 Dyson Riley and Scott Ford, in the hands of Andy Wallace. Looks like that might take a minute or two, so we'll take this opportunity for a break. Laps trickling down the checkered flag. Here's round 2 of the Grand American Road Racing season for 2000. Stay with us. We'll be back to Phoenix. Back in Phoenix, the Sun Automotive 200 continues. Behind the safety car for only the second time this evening. Yellow came out on lap 124 for a spin by Bruce Nesbitt from Chicago, Illinois. Field is formed up behind the safety car. There's the Ferrari, the number 12, who's had a pretty interesting race thus far. 1 lap to go to the green.
Another mercifully short caution period, and they have been incredibly fortunate. There have been so few yellow caution periods.
Down to John Bizignano.
Rob, what about this quick yellow flag? How does that affect your team tactics?
Well, it doesn't, except that we've just got to make sure that the guys just get up to speed. You know, Andy and John are pretty good at restarts, especially John, and I noticed John picked up a spot. I think we may have just unlapped ourselves on 1 spot. So, you know, except these guys are pros. They know what they're doing, and they were told when it was going to go green, so I think we'll be fine.
Thank you, John. That green is upcoming now. The safety car should be pulling off. There it goes. Andy Wallace, Rob Dyson's driver, will get the start. Looks like he's got a great jump, too.
Yeah, tremendous jump for his teammate. Had a tremendous jump at the start. Wow, down the outside. That's Terry Ford. No, that's Terry Ford.
Irv Hare coming up on John Paul Jr. You heard Rob Dyson say that John was likely to get a good restart. Remember, he's not feeling his best. He has just been pounced on by Irv Hare, and up the outside comes John Field in that 37 Ford Lola.
Boy, does he ever.
Great opportunity to unlap yourself, get back on the lead lap, and have a shot at the win here. Irv Hare runs in 2nd place in that number 74 car.
To turn 9. Nobody making a move there. They got a little bit strung out there, but boy, John Field was aggressive on the infield, wasn't he?
Irv Hare's got to be a little bit desperate here. He sees all these cars battling between him and the man he wants to catch, Andy Wallace.
Lap the 99 car there. One goes high, one goes low. Everybody's keeping their heads tonight. Last year, a lot of opportunity here to make some ghastly mistakes.
Is this the race leader? Is that the 16 car?
That is the race leader.
Wallace is in the pits.
Front's locking up. He must have got a flat tire or something. That way that right front locked up.
Tires all around.
Wow.
Wallace looking around in the car. Meanwhile, there is Hare. If he can get around, he can take the lead in this race. Wallace talking to the crew as they put the new tires and wheels on. What a moment in this race. The Dyson team has been dominant. Hare is on the oval, coming through NASCAR 3 and 4 onto the front straightaway. There is Wallace leading.
There's less than 10 laps to go, and there they go.
Irv Hare rockets by right there, and just behind him, Field in the 37. Banana Joe's car. What a moment. Andy Wallace has watched his race lead go away, and so now he has to get back on his horse and try to run down the race leader. But he's not up to speed yet on fresh tires.
Well, absolutely fresh tires. Didier Taze goes underneath him there. What an absolutely upturn here. We've got the car leads from absolute start, less than 10 laps to go. Comes in, looks like a flat tire, and he'll have a tremendous job to go to get back to front again now.
Man, so there is the new race leader, Irv Hare. John Bizignano is making his way down to the Dyson pits to see if he can tell us what happened there. But the point of it all is that we have a new race leader, Irv Hare. What a great story these guys have been. Oh, and it was almost contact. Down to the Dyson pits, and John.
Bob and David, here it is. This is where the puncture happened. During that yellow flag, he may have gotten offline and picked up some debris. This little puncture caused the slow leak that he only felt just as the green came out. They're going to try and make up the time, guys.
All right, thank you, John. And you can see the frustration in car owner Rob Dyson's face. Oh, is this race going to get away from them?
It looks very much that way. And of course, John Paul Jr. in the 20 car just got pushed down another place there. There he is again.
That was Paul Jr. that looked like he might have been trying to throw the block just that little bit as Irv Hare came through. There's Ralph Kellner's in the Ferrari. We've seen him smoking tires left, right, and center in the last 20 or 30 laps.
Yeah, if anybody was going to have a flat tire, I'd have thought it'd be him. You can't have a bit of round tire left on that car.
Well, everybody's scrambling hard at this sudden opportunity to make up a lap at the end of the race or perhaps win the race. In the case of Jack Baldwin and Irv Hare, what a story they are. We'll talk about them when we return. Checkers coming up. Back at Phoenix, just a couple of laps remaining in round 2 of the Grand Am season. Bob Marsh and David Hobbs, John Bizignano and Sandy Hang with you. There is the new race leader, Irv Hare. Think about this. Oh, there's a problem for John Paul Jr. in the second place of the 2 Dyson racing cars.
I can't work out where. Oh, he must have spun it. He seemed to be going slowly. I wonder if he's got tyre trouble as well. He seemed to be going slowly on that last lap. He got squeezed out of a couple of situations. And I wonder if that's what brought his spin on. There's Irv Hare going under the 09 car, still leading the All-American GT class.
Well, think about Irv Hare. 24 hours ago, he wasn't even thinking of being here. He's back home in Illinois.
What's he telling?
Right. And then the car owner, George Robinson, got sick, couldn't drive, called up Hare. Hare flies out here. He's given a few hardship laps to get used to the car, figure out if the track goes left or right. Engine blows. Team has to replace the engine using a borrowed unit. Jack Baldwin starts the car, charges up through the field, and they hand over to Hare, and here he finds himself leading the race after Andy Wallace came up with a puncture on only the second caution flag of the evening.
Boy, oh boy, I tell you what, that was really tough luck, wasn't it? 12 car now down to 1 headlight.
Well, they require a 3rd headlight on the sports racers so that you can tell immediately by seeing 3 lights in your mirrors that it's a fast car coming up. White flag, last lap for Irv Hare. A little late to be throwing a black on anybody, I guess. What an amazing story this is.
12 car, like I say, if anybody's to have some punctures, it should be him. Ralph Kellner has been flat spotting those tires and locking them up for his entire stint, really.
And he finds himself in 2nd place after all that hard driving.
The 16 car of Andy Wallace is now looking to be in 3rd, so that pit stop was a major disaster for winning the race. They're still hanging on to that 3rd spot so far. Irv Hare rushing past the 99 car.
Final corners for the race leader, Irv Hare, sharing with Jack Baldwin and George Robinson's Riley and Scott, the Judd V10 in the back, and the checkered flag waves. Victory! And the most improbable story of the weekend. Congratulations to Irv Hare and Jack Baldwin. There's the 2nd place Ferrari, shared by Mimo Schiattarella and Ralph Kelleners.
It's quite a long way down because he's still coming through the infield, still got to get to turn 9 and do the last bit of the over speedway here. That one light shining. Let's hope that doesn't lead to any trouble for him.
Only light he has right now. And consider these guys came all the way from the back as well after setting fast time on pole qualifying day, but then failing tech inspection. They were dropped to the back, had to re-qualify the car, started at the back, and have charged all the way through in spectacular fashion to finish 2nd.
That is a very odd light that he's got there. It looks like a temporary light, doesn't it? None of his other lights.
There is the race winner, Irv Hare, making his way around. The rest of the field finishes their races. An amazing story. Can't wait to hear what Irv Hare has to say about the day. There is Andy Wallace, who led so handily before picking up that lake puncture, creeping around to the pits, sitting there while 1st and 2nd place went by. Now he will come home 3rd, it appears. Meanwhile, I'm not sure that's the exact place I'd want to stop night race, even if I am going to get out and celebrate a victory. There is the GTO class winner, the Celine Allen Speed Lab Ford Mustang.
They've had an absolutely great weekend. They qualified on the pole of their division, and they've just run absolutely faultlessly throughout the whole race, never putting a foot wrong, or not that we've seen anyway, winning their class very, very handily.
Here are the unofficial results, the way they crossed the finish line. The Robinson Racing car first, followed by the Ricci Competizioni Ferrari. The Team Spencer Motorsports Mazda Kudzu, first across in SR2. We know about the Mustang in GTO. Winner in GTU, the BMW from GMW Motorsports. Now let's get down to John Bizignano.
Irv, what a great drive when you saw that checkered flag. This team started in the back and finished up first. Congratulations.
Well, thanks. You know, Jack did such a great job in the beginning. He brought the car all the way from last to first. When I got in, I just had to stay where I was at, and I guess we got a break there at the end with James making that late pit stop. But that was our plan all along. We thought we could get by on one stop, and it worked out.
Jack, what about driving through this field?
Well, it was tough from the start. I mean, we ran as really hard as we could. We had a plan, and but I got to tell you, the credit goes to this crew. How hard they have worked from Daytona through Sebring, through the Renard, through all the problems, blowing the motor this morning, having to change it. We changed it the other day. I mean, these guys have worked and slaved over this just to be in the race, much less win this race.
Congratulations to our winners. Here are the standings in the team owners' point standings. The TOP program instituted after the Rolex 24 at Daytona. These results based on today's performance. In the Drivers' Championship after 2 rounds, including Daytona, James Weaver, the overall leader. Our GTO winners, Terry Borchler and Ron Johnson, will be with us when we return for more Victory Lane celebrations. Sun Automotive 200 at Phoenix. Don't go away. Grand American Road Racing from Phoenix, Arizona is being brought to you here on Speed Vision by Acura. Cars are our passion. Engineering is our art. Back at Phoenix, there's a look at the GTU class winning number 50 BMW M3 from Genesis Racing, driven by Rick Fairbanks and Bill Auberlen. They pick up the win after a tremendous battle with a group of Porsche 911s. Here's a look at the final standing. BMW first and fourth. Get down to Victory Lane now, and Sandy Hanks standing by with the drivers of the winning car.
Rick Fairbanks here, winner of the GTU class this morning. I saw you changing an engine.
Yes.
And now?
Yeah, it was a rough day. We fought the car all day. The guys did a great job. We finally got the car ready about 4 o'clock, and it performed admirably. It ran great the whole race, and our strategy worked, and the race came to us. Bill did a super job. The crew did a good job, and here we are.
Here you are. What were you thinking this morning? The engine was out of the car.
Yeah, I didn't get here till like 3, 4. I had to let the team, I know they're great. So I know.
You didn't sweat it out at all?
No. The only thing I sweat was we didn't get one lap with the new engine before the race. So if one oil line or water line is left loose, then we're in trouble. But these guys are so good that I really never worried about it. The only thing I had a problem with was our radios went out. So I kept passing the guy who I thought was leading, and I didn't know if I was passing him for the lead. But we were putting him lap down, and oh man, we were pushing really hard, but the team was awesome. And the car, the BMW, the Yokohamas, the abuse they took tonight, oh man, you don't even know.
All right, gentlemen, enjoy the celebration. After 2 events, here are the standings in the GTU drivers race. Mike Fitzgerald with a 6-point lead over Steve Marshall. The victory puts Rick Fairbanks and Bill Auberlen into a tie for the number 6 spot. In the GTO category, the race was basically all Saleen Mustang. Saleen Allen's Speed Lab car being driven by Ron Johnson. Terry Borchler started it after qualifying the car. They had what appeared to be a pretty untroubled run, although we're hearing from the pit lane that might not have been the case. 3 cars in the class, Mustang triumphant. Let's get back down to Victory Lane and hear from the drivers.
This has absolutely got to be a great moment for you.
Oh, this is excellent. It's the beginning of the season. It's a great way to start with a win like this. Car's running great. The crew is great all year. So far, getting the car ready. BASF, Palmer Improvement. It's been just a terrific race for us.
Now, you did have a few frustrating moments out there. It looked like it wasn't quite going to gel for you. Didn't let it get in your way.
Yeah, we got a little bit of a mechanical problem right at the end, but the car sailed right through it, and we just finished off on a great note.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Last year was discouraging, so these guys have worked so hard, and Steve Saleen and the team they've just really worked hard over the winter. I mean, nobody knows except for the people that are close to the team how hard they worked, and the competition in the field, I know it's not the field we wanted. It's going to get stronger, I think, as the series progresses, but I tell you, a win feels good no matter how it comes, and these guys have worked their tails off, so we appreciate it.
Here's a look at the GTO drivers standings after 2 events. Interesting thing is, even with comparatively few cars in the class, because all the classes run together, everybody always has someone to race with. Case in point, the American GT class, won in dominant fashion by the Spirit of Daytona Camaro, making their first race outside the state of Florida a successful one. Craig Conway and Doug Goad. The drivers, there you see the final results in the class. Let's get back down to victory lane. Sandy Heng standing by with Doug Goad.
Doug Goad, winner, the Spirit at Daytona in the AGT class. Congratulations.
Thanks. It's a real tribute to the team. Todd and Troy and the rest of the guys have done just a tremendous job with this car. We had to run the race without power steering due to overheating the pump. We kept overheating the power steering fluid. So guys went and found a truck steering wheel. We put that in, and it made all the difference in the world. We were able to survive with it. So car ran pretty good.
Just enough to get through. Partner here, Craig Conway, actually a lot of the muscle behind this effort. Congratulations.
Thanks. Real tribute to the team. They worked very hard to rebuild this car after Daytona, and it did run real well, except for the power steering, which was hard to drive for us, but we managed to get through, and everything's good, so we're happy to be here.
Always great when you win. Look at the AGT class driver point standings after 2 events. Andy McNeil and Doug Mills find themselves in a tie with today's winners, Doug Goad and Craig Conway. Podium ceremonies, nice trophies here in Phoenix. This is the GTU ceremony. Rick Fairbanks on the left, Phil Auberlin on the right. The production-based category team owner standings after 1 race. Genesis Racing leading the way with a number 50 car over G&W Motorsports, which has 2 cars in the top 6. Now there was one other story on the day, and that of course the introduction of the new Sports Racer 2 category. First across the line, number 62, Mazda Kudzu of Dennis Spencer and Rich Grubb. But they were found to have an airbox infraction in the post-race tech inspection. So victory in the race goes to the Archangel Motorsport Services Chevy Magnum of Larry Oberto from Seattle, Washington, and Ryan Hampton from right here in Phoenix, Arizona. All in all, a pretty interesting race, not the least of which for these two, Jack Baldwin and Irv Hare, started the day with a blown engine and wound it up in victory lane. David?
And Irv Hare didn't even know he was going to be here till yesterday afternoon. A lot of great coming from behind today, and a lot of people staying right out of trouble.
Bodes well for the future of the series. I'm Bob Barsha for David Hobbs, Sandy Heng, and John Bizignano. Thanks for being with us. So long, everyone.